And welcome back. BronxConnect is a faith and also a community-based program which actually offers alternatives to detention, incarceration, and violence prevention work. Now, Release the Grip strives to sustain such a space for Bronx residents and encourages similar community support in an effort to end gun violence. Joining me now, we're pleased to have the Director of BronxConnect, Minister Tara Brown-Arnell. And Minister Brown-Arnell, thank you so much for being with us.
Wonderful morning, wonderful morning.
It's a sad time in the borough of the Bronx, as we know that we've seen several recent cases. Most recently, a young lady caught in the crossfire, literally a victim of gun violence, many other countless others. And I know that for you, the work of gun violence is really integral. So share with us a little bit about BronxConnect and your connection to gun violence.
I appreciate this platform. So if you would allow me just to clarify, Urban Youth Alliance is the name of the organization, and that indeed is a faith-based organization. One of the ways by which, when we were developed in the early 70s, what we did was we trained in leadership on high school and college campuses. And it was these students that were able to come together in various high school and college campuses around the city to get trained in leadership from their various local churches and to share their faith on their high school and or college campuses. And I was involved in the campus ministry at John Jay College. And so some maybe 2 decades later, BronxConnect was birthed, and it was a challenge to the faith-based, to those of faith, asking what impact could the church have on individuals who are justice involved. And so that started our work with young people who were justice involved, going to court, and we established mentors from around the city. And so throughout the years, we have our alternative to incarceration program, our alternative to detention program. I really think giving us that experience and knowledge and insight in how to engage young people who are court involved or young people who are high risk.
Yeah. And when we talk about young people, we know that many of them are court involved. They're involved in some early introduction to the criminal justice system. But just because they're involved in an early age does not mean that we give up on them, right? And you spent a lot of time really with your boots on the ground, really trying to navigate and provide better and safer services for some of the young people. So I want to talk a little bit about some of the services that are provided, because when we talk about alternatives to incarceration, everybody talks about you can't always arrest the problem away, because once a person comes out, then they got to be able to be sustainable, right? And so you work to make sure that they're sustainable before and also for those who are after, right?
Indeed, we cannot arrest ourselves out of this situation, because if we recall, I want to say from about 2008-ish to about 2000 and maybe from about 2000, about 2003 to about 2012, there was really a lot of arresting going on around in the city. And when we stop and frisk, we thought that we would see soaring rates of gun violence, soaring rates of crime in New York City, but that did not happen. And I really want to say maybe about 2012-ish, we saw this turn happening within our justice system, that if a young person was arrested, not only did they receive support, but there were many wraparound services. And so kids in that alternative to incarceration and alternative to detention world of the justice system, those who stayed in the city and they did not get who did not get shipped upstate. They were here, they received mentoring. They came to organizations like BronxConnect after school. We did anger management work with them. We did behavior modification. We talked, we did basic reading and math with them. There was engagement in basketball training camps with individuals like Carmelo Anthony, I believe that was his name. And so we gave them something to do after school. And what was so amazing is that we saw, you know, that they wanted to be with us. Even though they were mandated, we switched it on them and made sure that this was a place that they wanted to be. Because if they didn't come, we couldn't engage them. And if they did not come, we could not give them some life-changing tools. And even now, we have young people come back who were involved with us from about 2002 to about 2014, still coming back to asking for their case managers who were their mentors. And just knowing that we were their aunties, uncles, godparents into this adult world where they could go to for help when they needed help, right? So no, we can't arrest our way through it.
Yeah, but I do know that you've had some great success. One of the programs that you have is called Release the Grip, and it started in 2014, I know, but even though we are seeing spikes of crime, gun violence, and even youth-involved incidents, Release the Grip has really had a great impact.
We're proud to say that we are part of a network within the crisis management system of New York. And yes, Release the Grip is an entity by which we seek to support individuals who are likely to be shooters or likely to be shot in various catchments and zip codes within the city. In particular, in the Bronx, we service parts of the Morrisania area, parts of the High Bridge area, and actually a part within the Belmont area of the Bronx as well. And indeed, we do see great results.
And so for those who may not know about Release the Grip, let's walk a little bit further in that, because when we talk about some of the work that's done, you have people who are involved who really can be what we call credible messengers. And when you're trying to stop the violence, it's sometimes hard when you have somebody that's not connected to enter into the fray and say, hey, you know, here's a better alternative. Here's a way of life. We want you to listen to me. But when you don't have that kind of connection and you don't have that kind of credibility, it makes the work all a lot harder. I know that you have what we call credible messengers.
We do. We have credible messengers on the ground who live in the particular community that they are working in. They are known by the community. The community saw them at a time where it might be considered their worst time. Maybe for some of them, they were about that lifestyle, which makes them credible to the community, makes them credible to some of the kids that are high risk, because these individuals within the community can talk about what they went through. They can talk to the young people and encourage them not to go in a particular direction. And as well, when young people in the community, when they feel themselves going astray, they can come to our staff, they can come to our buildings. If, Daren, you would allow me to say this, it is nothing for our staff to be on the street, because that's where our violence interrupters are, literally on the street, bringing peace during conflict, because conflict happens. And I do want to say, in neighborhoods where, for me, this is a no-brainer, right? Where there's more trash because there are more people, wouldn't it be kind of wise to pick up maybe the garbage twice as much, right, in a week? In an area where schools are overwhelmed with students, wouldn't it be wise to reduce the size of classes so that we can have better teaching opportunities for our young people. But our staff, yes, they are on the ground and they are intervening. The staff is speaking to young people about completing school. And if our kids, and our kids are the kids in our neighborhoods, our catchment, they are really our kids. And that's what I love. It is that old school. These are our kids. They will seek to get them back in school. If the kids are so far beyond maybe a certain age and they might be giving up on going to school, our staff is talking to them about getting them in a high school setting where individuals who have extended their years in school and who are undercredited, we'll get them in a setting like that so that they can complete school in a timely fashion. If you would allow me to go on to say, it is nothing for credible messengers to go to a parent's door and knock on the door and bring some food, or knock on the door and ask where the young person is, or knock on the door and bring the kid home and say he's out too late, he needs to go home. And so oftentimes when folks talk about credible messengers, when people are talking about violence interrupters, you're talking about individuals who they themselves know the value of people in the neighborhood caring. And the fact that we're able to employ people to do what many of them were doing naturally, it is our honor. And we work with incredible people who are on the ground to serve incredible kids with great potential. And there's no fudge on that. There's no exaggerating that. And if you would allow me to just say this one thing, many of our kids, if they were born in a different zip code with a different opportunity, in a different school zone, they would be running major companies. They would be the CEOs. They would be principals and deans.
Yeah, I got to get this in before we wrap our conversation, because I know you talk about these young people and what they would be and what they have the potential to become. But you don't stop there, because I know that you're working and developing them in leadership. And there is a leadership academy that you have that you work with our young people in.
We do. Well, in our local, within our local sites, we do a lot of one-on-one and mentoring with our young people. And we have developed an advocacy team over the course of about 2 years. And this is where we bring in young people who are really what I call really low resource, but high potential. And so sometimes when we use that term high risk, it can seem insulting, but they really are low resource and high potential. And we put them in a setting, and even now we're preparing for the summer, where we are training them 2 to 3 days out of the week. We're putting them in classroom settings during the summer. We're engaging them, we're taking them on trips, we're having them to meet local community members and local politicians, to engage them and make them advocates right within their own community, and really starting the process of making them credible messengers.
Yeah. And so, Minister Tara, before we go, for somebody who may want to connect, or you got a parent that's out there that's watching, or you may even have a young person that says, listen, this sounds something I want to be connected to, what do they do?
Well, I'm going to share a few numbers if you would allow me to. First of all, I am the director of BronxConnect. It is the juvenile justice arm of the organization. If they are interested in getting in touch with us about the alternative to incarceration program, the alternative to detention program, or even our very own anti-gun violence, cure violence program that's part of the crisis management system of New York. Ours is called RTG. They can call us at 917-473-7834. And that's 917 844-737-7834. And that would be extension 1401, Daren. If you would also allow me to let them know, we have family therapy as well, because what we find, the same thing holds true, I think, in most communities. It is families that is the foundation of our work, right? Supporting families, so meeting their needs, supporting change. They can reach out and ask about our FFT program, Family Functional Therapy Program. And we can bring these parties together, just even to provide an open door for conversation. And last but not least, any individual that is 18 or over that may have found themselves court involved, who have been involved in the criminal justice system or arrested within the last 5 years, or maybe they've been released from incarceration. They could be 20, they could be 22, they could actually, in fact, be 70. We would invite them to call 929-285-7421. That's 929-285-7421. And that is our reentry program. And about that, we can help young people, and we can also help adults, because what we find is that we all know that if there's an adult that has been touched by the criminal justice system, or who has been incarcerated, their child, right, is more likely to again themselves be touched by the juvenile justice or the criminal justice system. And we want to stop this wave of incarceration. We want to stop this wave of hopelessness. So I hope that these numbers serve you. I hope that our phones are ringing off the hook so that we can meet your needs. And because BronxConnect does just that, we connect our community to those entities, those organizations in the Bronx that can serve them. If it's not us, we want them to be connected to another organization as great, so that their families can be strengthened, and so that our young people can reach the potential that we know that they have.
Minister Tara Brown-Arnell, we're going to leave it there, but thank you so much for joining us, and thank you for the work that you're doing in impacting the lives of youth. And as we said, they're not called at risk, they're called low resource. And that's a very big bone that we ought to be carrying with us, to take with us to understand our youth a little bit better. Thank you so much for being with us.
You're so welcome. I hope everyone takes on our heart that they're all of our children, and that they do everything locally within their sphere of influence to impact a young person.
All righty. Minister Tara Brown-Arnell from BronxConnect. All right, taking a quick break. We've got more on the social justice forums. Another great guest coming up right after this.